welcome for a video about importing models into ArmA 3 engine from Blender. So I created those dirt dumps, so it's supposed to represent them on the hedgerows. So it's for level designers, so they put this on their maps and they can add trees and bushes on top of the dirt bumps. So it's above, around a meter 60 high. Then you have the ground level here, and you have 85 centimeters of additional depth, so you can place it even if you have some holes or ditches, etc. So I made 3 versions with different levels to add more variety, and all those are fitting on the same UV map. So it's a very simplistic model for this tutorial. Once I've done this, I exported the edges into OBJ file, removed the sample character, imported in Substance Painter. Then I applied a very simplistic texture from Substance source, so this one, a little ambient occlusion with multiply filter to add a bit of dark on edges. Then once I'm done with this, I can export the textures. So what you want to have is ArmA preset, which are configured right here. So this is available on the internet. You can find it here. Just press pause on the video and you can copy paste my parameters. So I want to export in TGA 8 bytes. So you see I have my edge long CO, AS, NoHQ and SMDI. I will export in 4096, and I will downgrade it in Photoshop. The downgrade is much more nice from Photoshop than from Substance Painter. So it's in export edge, here as they are. So I'm going to cut them to edges here. Okay, so I have my blend file, my OBJ file, and my textures. So here you see I'm on F, and ArmA wants to have it's better to use P drive. So what I'm going to do is take it as a target and make a junction into P drive. So here, paste junction. So here I have my edges. We got P/-edges. So here I'm done with Substance Painter. So it's a very simple model. You can make the same for vehicles, and you have 4 GB files. Never mind. Let's do this. Okay. So back to Blender. So I have my files. What you want to do for ArmA 3, first let's add this one, is to go press N, and you have to use the ArmA toolbox from Adente, and I'm going to check this here. So here I have my LOD preset here, and on the ArmA tab here I can set the texture. Where is it? I'm not used to do this here. Okay, here it is. So I'm going to P edges CO. So here you have the pass, and I'm going to remove the P and only keep edges long co.tga. I'm going to keep the arc and just have one quickly just as placeholder, so it will be easier to replace once I'm in Object Builder. So RVMAT, here it's just an empty file, but we don't care. So here, edges, blah blah blah, RVMAT. So you see even the pass is wrong. Never mind. Okay, once I'm done with this, I'm going to create simple LODs. So as you can see, one dirt dump is 79 vertices, which is very small. Usually want to have less than 500 vertices on the last LOD, so it's already way below this value, but just for optimization purpose, as it's for levels or maps, I'm going to make at least 2 LODs, I guess, so 2 resolution LODs, so it's a bit more optimized for graphic cards. So I'm going to duplicate this. Okay, so I have my first LOD here, which is resolution 1, and when I have the second LOD, I'm going to hide this one and show this one up. Here what you want to set here is 2, otherwise they will have the same resolution LOD name, so you will have an issue here because you will have 2 times 0 and you don't know which one is the correct resolution. Okay, and for this one I'm going to generate a very fast LOD, so just with the decimate modifier. So afterwards I apply it, and as you see it's reduce the poly count, so I'm back at 40, and I'm going to replicate this. So I'm not taking the first resolution LOD, but the one I just generated, duplicate it, hide the previous one. Here just for me I set it to 2, but you don't have to set this, it's optional. And here I set resolution 3, add modifier, decimate, .5, apply, and okay, we have here very simple models, so only 20 Hz, which is quite good. I don't want to go below because I don't want the horizontal line here being erased and being flat, because at short range you would see, okay, you have to imagine a bit, but at very short range I would see this, so I could hide it behind the dirt here, just have my head being visible, and if I'm making too much resolution LODs here, it's going to erase this here and flatten this part, and here the head would be hidden at very far distance, so I don't want this to happen. So in PvP you can't hide between the fucked up LODs, so I'm going to let it like this, and I'm just going to make a shadow LOD. So for the shadow LOD I'm taking the first resolution LOD. So if it's a vehicle it's a bit more complicated, but as here I have a very low poly model, it's not a problem, so I'm just Here again, going to duplicate the LOD I did, go here, and here I'm going to set, you can set here shadow volume, but I really have no clue about if it's working or not, so I'm going to set it. We'll see if it works. I usually just set resolution and change in object builder, so I'm going to learn something right now. So the shadow LODs must be closed. So here, as you can see, I have missing faces below, and if I add the back face culling, here it's empty. So I don't want this to happen on the shadow LODs. The shadow LODs must be absolutely closed. So I'm going to close them here and triangulate with Control T, and the rest will be done in O2, or even I can just set it like this and done. Okay, so next step, I'm going to export as P3D edge long.p3d. Oh, no. I have to hide the stuff, otherwise it won't export if it's hidden. So export no file export P3D, and I'm going to call it 1 because I have 3 edges. Okay, save the file, close. Okay, so here I have my file. So as you can see, I have my resolution LOD 1, 2, and 3 with the decreasing polygons, and my shadow LOD here with closed face. And as you can see, my textures are already applied from Blender because it's so, to be a bit more clear, I have my my files are in p/edges. I set the /edges texture file blah 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 in my textures. So if I select all, press E, I have here, you see my paths are applied. So as I set it in Blender, it's exported to Object Builder, and I can after here master place. That's why I set an RVMAT, because it's already applied, and I just have to change the path if I need, and not reapply it on every LOD manually, which is a bit more comfortable. So here my shadow LOD that I set to 0 was set to 1000, so I'm going to set it back to 0. And as you can see, it's very dark here. It's just a graphical glitch, so whether you just modify your file once and save it and it will change, or you press W twice, it reverts to normals and it reapplies the correct lighting. So here my files, my textures are pretty good already. So first thing you want to do once on Object Builder, and now we will stay here, is that the edges here, okay, you see they are not triangulated, so I'm going to select them and triangulate and revert hash. Here we go. Once you have done this, you press U, so it's going to apply the sharp edge modifier, so your edges must be sharp, whereas your resolution LOD can be smooth. So it's a bit different lighting, but the shadow LOD must be smooth. And once you have done this triangulated sharp edge, you want to here remove the textures that are applied. And if you are working, for example, on a weapon and you have a camo selection, so here I can bring it this set camo 1, for example, and this can be a texture can be applied to it. You don't want to have the name selection, the camo selections on the resolution LOD. Absolutely not. Yeah, for those who are wondering, I have a second screen, so I have the windows on the second screen, and if I use them, I will just move them on the first screen that I'm recording. So next step, I'm going to use my shadow LOD because they are closed. For the next step, copy them, make a new LOD, property geometry, and that's a bit it's a bit of a stress every time, because you want to generate convex geometry, but sometimes if the model is too complicated, Object Builder will do shit, and it's pretty much complicated here, so I might have to go back to Blender at this point. It's suspense. Okay, you see, it simplified a lot. So if I take my files here and go into for view, edit textures. Okay, if you see here, I have my original model, and I have the convex geometry here, and as you can see, this part is full. The geometry is interacting with physics, so vehicles, grenades, rockets, and stuff. Everything that has physics is going to interact with Geometry LOD. So here it's a bit of a problem, because bullets won't be annoyed by geometry, but the grenades will be, so it will bounce. Even if you throw it in the hole, it will bounce on it and come back to your face, so it's a bit of a problem. So going to delete the Geometry LOD, keep my file, save it, and I'm going back to Blender, and what we are going to do here is create Geometry LODs. So the Geometry LOD must be very simple, so the best is to have squares, or maybe four squared objects, or a bit, you can have a bit more like yeah, I suck at geometry, like cylinders, but not too much faces and too much edges. So to make it simple, we are going to create or are we going to process? Let's create a cube. Okay, so the first cube I'm going to do is going to be the underground cube here. So you don't have to make it super precise, but the more you are, the best it is. So here, and I have to set it another material, so it's easier for me to view in 3D. Okay, now I'm going to expand it to the wall size. So see, I don't want it to be very sharply, very adjusted, just for physics, you know, though. So it's not a problem if it's not perfect. Here I want to have something which is so you don't want to just look. I'm going to duplicate this and mirror it in Z global. Okay, and I'm going to make it fit to the vertices of the other component I'm making. So it's okay. Here I'm going to stick it here, right? But what you don't want to do is to merge the 2 points, because you will come back to the original issue that your component is too complex to be made convex for Object Builder, and then you have issues of collision. So I'm just going to keep it as I mean, it's just colliding, but it's not merged, so it's different faces, different objects. It's very important for this geometries components. So here, just for me, going to calculate the normals. Okay, so next step, as you can see, I have bumps, so I want to have something that fit to these bumps. So I'm going to make a generic portion of the edge. Here, I'm going to set it to the correct 8 of the part I'm currently adjusting it to. Okay, and I'm going to try to make this one vertical, so this way I can make the various parts in touch with each other. It's a bit annoying to adjust, but yes, this is good. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this one, move it here, finish my adjustments. Okay, now I'm back to this one, and here I'm going to make it join the previous one. I'm not going to modify the I'm going to make it as simple as possible. That's the idea of this task. Yeah, forgot to here you see collide these two parts. Okay, so I'm back to here, and as you can see, I'm always using this green arrow, so I don't have any 8 difference between the parts. So I can even do this and come to the right shape. So it's just a simplified model, but with different blocks. It's a bit long to do, especially on, yeah, it's very long for vehicles. It's very boring to do, but I could like show you a little preview of what it's like when it's finished, and then I'm going to cut the video and record the next part when I'm done with this task. Where was it? Date GASM 1. Okay, here it is. So see the GASM 1 for my one front. Going to, so you have the so it's in multiple parts, but you have the car pretty much like this, and you have the FireGeometry above. So the FireGeometry is only blocks, only blocks, which are matching to the actual model. So the windows, for example, are a specific block, and the doors are other blocks, and so they can be moved separately hidden, animated, and blah blah blah. So it's a simplified model, but still every part is single part, which is different from the geometry here, which is applied to physics and collisions. Here I just made a very simple block, which is more what I'm currently doing for the dirt bumps, because it's not as complicated as a vehicle, which has more gameplay and must be more detailed, because here the bullets can just have ricochets inside the hull. Okay, so I'm done with the geometry, the components. So here you see they are fitting pretty nicely the edges. So I'm hiding it, retrieving those, and press P, and I'm going to separate the selection and here create a new object, and I'm going to set the geometry, and I'm going to export it as P3D, and I'm going to name it with a different name. So I have my file, which I prepared just before, and I have the IPS new file, and I made a mistake, okay, because I didn't select it. File export P3. Okay, you see I have an error, and that's what I don't like with already setting the LOD preset. It's not working all the time, so it's annoying. So I'm going back to custom resolution, going to make 10 export P3D. Okay, so I have my geometries. So you can see that every part is separate and very simple, so only cubes, modified cubes. So I'm copy pasting it to my file here, creating a new LOD, properties, geometry, pasting my work, and I'm not selecting anything. I'm just going to press structure convexity component convex L, which is required for every geometry LOD. So as you can see, I have in my named selection windows, it's created components, and every component is separate from the others, which is what I wanted. So for my geometry, I'm going to keep this in my paste to copy it. Okay, create a new LOD and call it fire, and set the fire geometry, paste what I add, going back to geometry, and I'm going to set a mass. The mass is very important, otherwise you will go through this geometry. So I can set anything, but I don't know, I can set like here a ton, so it weighs a ton, and you see how the mass is placed in the point. It's not important for static models, but for vehicles it's going to influence the center of gravity, and if it's a car with suspension, with dampers, it's going to more or less make the car flat on the ground. Okay, I'm done with the geometry, fire geometry. Here I'm going to assign a material, so I'm going to P and ArmA 3 extracted files, data underscore F, penetration. So the bsurf are where the parameter are set. So here I want dirt. I think it's default. So if you set default, you have all the parameters: density, rose, depth, blah blah blah, penetrability. And I'm going to look for some ground, hard ground here. You see, have hard ground and soft ground, which soft ground is mud and hard ground is more hard ground. Okay, so I have my parameters here, and what I want to set is the RVMAT. So I'm retrieving the path of the file, copying, press E and assign to the faces the material hard ground.rvmat, and that's it. For now it's very simple. Geometry, I have absolutely nothing set. FireGeometry, I have the material set and of course no texture, and there are still convex components. The next step is, as it is a model that players are likely to work, try to cross, etc. I'm going back to the first LOD. I'm taking it, copying it, making a new LOD, and set it to roadway. So it means that I can work on it. Okay. So if I would like only the players to be able to work on this line here where I'm pointing, and not being able to cross it, I would just select the faces, and I could, you know, just delete those one, just not doing all of them, but you see the players could only work on the textures and they couldn't cross it this way. So they could go under and cross above and climb on it, but they couldn't just work normally above. This is not what I want for this model. I just want the player to be able to climb it normally, and they will be annoyed anyway by bushes and trees that will go on the models afterwards. So I'm just going to keep it, and I'm going back to ArmA3.f folder, and this time I'm going to surfaces, and here you have a list of textures. Those which are entitled with int, for example int metal, are going to make an interior sound, which means if I'm shooting and working on int metal, it's going to make like my shooting sound like if I was in the interior. If you don't have the int, it's going to make the exterior sound of the weapon. It also enters into the simulation of the rain. So if you are in a building which is int, you will hear an interior rain sound, and if you are ext, you will hear exterior rain sound. So here I'm looking for dirt, which is annoying because all the names are in Czech and I'm not Czech. Okay, this looks like dirt. Lempenka. Parquet is wood. Isaac is let's translate. Basic here is Czech. Blah, 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 blah. I like this. Okay, sand. You see, I want dirt. Yeah, I already did this, and if I recall correctly, they don't have spinner. So I'm just going to use the Lempenka one. Looks like dirt pretty much. Anyway, as long as it doesn't make concrete sound, it's fine. Okay, so I'm taking the pass here, and in my roadway, I'm going to assign it in the texture, and I'm removing the material. Okay, you see it's applied, so it's visible because the file is less than 64 by 64. But if you have a bigger file, you want it to have it in TGA, otherwise it won't show up in the preview like it's here. If it's PAA and above 64 by 64, it won't show up. Okay, what else am I missing? I have the shadow. I have the roadway. The path is for IaaS, and to be honest, I didn't get into it yet, so I won't do it. And it's mostly for buildings to explain the to the IA where are the stairs and the windows and stuff. 8 points are for vehicles, geometry, physics are for it's not needed for static model. So it seems we're good. The last thing I'm going to check is, and I really recommend you to do it and use if you have if you don't know it, the odal converter.azurewebsite.net, which seems to be done. It's done sometime. Okay, it's done. It's done, but it generates a broken model, but at least you can see how it's set up. So you can't use it for you can't extract the model, but you can have decent overview of how the modeler made the model. So I'm going to use a World War II Iron Front model of a similar file, like for example the trenches. Because as you may understand, I don't know every parameters. Where are the trenches? Oh my god. Okay. So it's a bit like a trench, so let's go for it. Single. Okay, so I have okay, this one you see as proxies with grass I'm going to retrieve later. So it's a foxhole. Basically, as you see, it has the same systems as my model. Okay, I have no LandContact and I need one. So the LandContact is going to tell the game where is the model hitting the ground. So if I set my LandContact here, like on these points, the model is going to automatically stick to the ground at these points, which I don't want, because if I have a depression in the ground, I'm going to have a hole and you will see below. So that's why I made this additional slopes. What I want as LandContact points are those points here. So I'm going to select them on the 3 models that I will separate later. New properties, LandContact. And you see you often forget stuff, but that's the way it is. So better double check before building. So the roadway here, you see they have, I'm going to use this one. It should be a dirt texture, which is available for Iron Front, as it's in Iron Front files. Okay. The path, okay, you see, tells the IA go into this hole. This hole is a safe place for you. ViewGeometry, I don't quite know what ViewGeometry is between FireGeometry and ViewGeometry. Oh yeah, the ViewGeometry is for I high. Fucking accent is back. Yeah, so let's say that the FireGeometry, that's where bullets are going to hit, and not grenades. Grenades are bouncing on the Geometry LOD. That's why I wanted a sharp Geometry LOD. So my FireGeometry, I'm duplicating it into ViewGeometry, and to understand the concept for you guys is okay. This is my FireGeometry. Let's say I want to shoot this one, and I want to shoot in this block here, this very block. Or let's take this one. It's more simple to select. Let's say I want to shoot someone which is behind this. Okay, so I'm shooting. It's hitting the dirt. I can't shoot him. If it's an AI, sorry, it's behind this same block, and if the block here is visible, the AI raycast can't go through it. If I remove the block, I won't be able to shoot the AI which is behind, but the AI will be able to see me because there is no view geometry. And if the block is here, the AI field of view won't go through the view geometry. So that's why you see on this foxhole the view geometry is simpler because than the FireGeometry, because you want the AI to be able to see something a bit lower than a human would do, because the AI is stupid and is not going to look for the way to see. Okay, that's it. The last thing that we are going to do now that we are done with the LODs is the geometry parameters. So as you can see, the geometry LOD here has damage no, which is make the model indestructible. It's a building on the map. If you place it as a level designer in XCAM, it will show up a building icon, and it said it's a house, which is weird. So I'm going to check in another trench. What's set? Yeah, it's the same. Okay, so let's set this. So going back to my edge, setting this on my second screen. So I'm going to my geometry LOD. The window is the name property that you can view here. Name property or control one or property. Going to set a new one, class house new map building, and the most important is damage no, otherwise it will collapse and be destroyed like a building, making the sound of destruction. Okay, let's go back here and check. Okay, the other, I'm always checking all the LODs of the other models, so it shows up the name property, and I usually standardize on those who are set on the other models. Okay, so I'm done with Object Builder, and now the next step is to push it in game. So I'm going back to my PH folder, and I have some Photoshop work to do, so let's open those files. And also have, after Config.cpp, work to do. Yes. Okay. Okay. So it's my texture generated by Substance Painter. So you see the ambient occlusion is absolutely empty. So I'm going to set it to 512. So it's very small, and I don't care. How can I say this? The RVMAT and all the lighting of ArmA and how the engine is made prefers to have a file even if it's just all white, and you see the shade would be pink, but the engine prefer it. For this model I absolutely don't care the details of the shade, but I'm letting it anyway. So I'm just setting it in low resolution because it's not needed. You just have a very few details. Saving it. I don't know why I'm messing with this shit. Okay, the SMDI is absolutely rubbish, so I'm going to keep it for the last. Okay, size 2K, reduction, yep, save. And here I'm going to copy paste, go in my SMDI and paste my CO file, which I'm now resizing to 2K. Saving, close. close. Okay, SMDI. So it's a bit annoying and it needs practice, but that's how it works. So the red is useless, so you want to fill the layer with white. Then the blue, you want to invert it with Control I. Okay, so you have something closer to the what the file should look like. The blue layer is gloss, so it's the how it shines. So if you have metal, you want to shine, you want the texture to shine, and if you have matte plastic, you want it not to shine. So how it works is that the black is going to shine and the white is going to be matte. So as it's dirt, I don't want it to be, I want it like to be dry, not wet. So I'm going to make it not too black, just a little bit to give it. Okay. And then the green layer is the I don't recall the English word, and even the French one I lost the word, but it's it shines on what the white will shine on with the sun, so it will reflect the sun and shine. So it's useful for scratches on metal, for example. So scratches would be white and the rest of the metal will be black, and what is white will shine with sunlight. So as here it's not metallic, it won't shine nor reflect too much light. So I want to attenuate, or to have as less white as possible, or not too much, just a very little bit to give life to the texture. Okay, this is enough. So as you see, my file looks very red, pink, and when you see it like this, it doesn't mean anything. But if you look closely, in fact, every file has every layer is very important. And if you go to a weapon, for example, let's go to like the new M1 Garand we're working on, or we have pushed. Okay, M1 Garand, and if you see my SMDI, it looks, I mean, you don't understand how it works right there in text view, and in fact you should press this button here and go to channel red, which is white, channel green, so it's the specular. Here I have my word, so the specular here, so the white will shine, and you have the gloss here, so the black will be glossy, so not too much. The metal is not glossy at all, the wood is not glossy at all, but the metal parts here are more dark, so they will have more gloss. So that's how it works, and then it's mostly tweaking. So I guess my file here is pretty good, and we will see how it goes in game. Image size, I'm just going to push it to 1K because it's just a dirt, you know, it's not a first person weapon. And save it. STJ, okay. So we are almost done. So I have my files here. I'm going to launch ArmA Videos. Go in ImagetoPAA, add source directory, p edges, so it detects my TGA files, process, yes. What I usually do is remove those three and keep the CO, so I can still have the preview in Object Builder, because I like to see my model textured and not pink and white. So you see my PA file here, reduced to 2K, and my AS to 1.5K. So I'm going to let it work and go to the RVMAT. So RVMAT is very simple, or pretty simple. Let's not say very, because it's ArmA. You need to default to data F. I'm going to retrieve the default super here and move it to my edge long RVMAT. So the TI is the thermal view, so I don't need it. I remove it, and here I just have to set the passes to my files. So very easy. P edges. And so it was no HQ. So here it's going to apply the new HQ. GT I don't have, MT I don't. Ambient occlusion I do. SMDI I do. I have one, and that's it. Then you can tweak it. The specular power is how much the specular, so which is the green layer, not of the CO but of the SMDI, sorry. The green layer, it's how the white parts are going to bright. So it's bit a weapon is about 100, a character is 70, 30, 70 is for weapon, so I'm going to set it to like 10. So I'll let you read the RVMAT wiki page to have more details, but for now I'm going to let it by to default values. I'm not going to enter tweaking right now, it's not the purpose. Okay, last step is the config. Same here, because I'm very lazy, I'm going to retrieve a config. No. Okay. So config, it's very simple. It's text file. So you have the safety patch, which is mandatory here. Pictures, World War II edges. So I'm already preparing it for pushing it to Ironfront. So I have strategic here. I don't know why strategic is used, and to be honest, for now I don't care. I will tweak it later. I just want to push this in game for you guys. So I'm going to change this to World War II edge dies here. Name sound vehicle class. So it's going to be set in trenches, but for now I don't care. Display name. To replace foxhole by edge. Place all it here. Okay, so so I have 3 models, so I want 3 classes inheriting from edge base, and I'm going to call them edge 1, 2 and 3 for now. Then I can set the lengths, as they are 12 meters, so if I want 6 meters edges, I will just set edge to parentheses 12 meters. This is done. The paths here are wrong, so later I'm pushing all this into the Ironfront folder structure, but not yet. I'm going to replace this by edges, replace all, and my files are named. Okay, removing the geometry one. and I'm going to call it World War II edge long 1. I'm duplicating it twice, calling it long 2 and long 3. And I worked with all the edges, the dirt dumps in the same file. So what I'm going to do now is just removing the additional models in every file, and the interest from this workflow is that it has been way more easy finally. Resetting it to a ton, and instead of doing all the process 3 times, I just have to remove the parts. And I could have been even better, even faster. Look, I'm going to show you just the process, and anyway it will be faster for me. I can here go into window named selection and call it edge 0, edge 1, and edge 3. I should have done this way before in Blender with vertex group, but I didn't have the ID, so it's my punishment. And I'm going to 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, and what I'm going to do is just set it in every LOD, which goes fast because once you have entered it, you just you don't have to type the name again. Just select it from the list, and you will see why it's going to be even faster. That's 0, edge 1, edge 2. I like Object Builder. It's my very good friend. New edge 0, edge 1, and edge 2. And I'm going to be even more lazy because I'm going to delete this, go in my geometry, retrieve it, and reset the path to it, so I can keep my ellipse. Yeah, when you're retarded, it's not even faster. So what the fuck? Stupid. Going back to FireGeometry, blah blah, removing the material here. The roadway, new at 0. And same for the LandContact. So all this could have been done in 3 clicks with Blender, and it would have been kept between LODs and copy paste and exporting and stuff, and so this step would not have been needed, and it would be already inherited from my source file. But you know, you don't always think about everything. Okay, so I'm recreating my 3 files here, and why I did this is I just have to go to automation, auto script, named selection here, and I'm going to hit delete, selection specify, and I'm going to check the delete vertices and select edge 1, for example, edge 1 and edge 2. and here when I close it, it's already done on every LOD except this one because I'm retarded. Just checking quickly, and then I'm going to structure and center all, and last step is going to be to bring the land contact point to ground level here. So tool, and I'm going to move it apply to all LODs, so 0.26. Okay, first file is done. So it was edge 0. And I'm going to repeat the process. Name selection, delete, specify, and I'm going to keep this one edge 1. And checking this one is already centered, so I don't have to. Okay, and last one. And specify. Structure center roll. Move 0.26. Apply to all LODs. Okay. And why isn't? Oh yeah. Because of im. We're just going to check that it's pretty much aligned. Yeah, it's not very good, but structure center all here, and I'm going to reapply this as for the same as the other edges, so it's okay. It's pretty much good. Okay, so I have my three files that I'm going to name into the edge long 2, edge long 3, the icon I don't care, the edge 1, edge 2. So the class name, you don't want to have the same ones because okay. So here I have a config checker, so I press Control F6 and it runs this Rapify check on my file. How I did this is macro or execution. Where is it? I don't recall. Blah blah. I will make another tutorial about it. I set it up a while ago and I don't recall where it is. I think it's something like this. Okay, so I should be done. Now we're going to run the building. So we go to PboProject, source folder here, and I'm going to build it. What we can do meanwhile is just check it in Bulldozer. If you want a little trick, you go to Preference, bulldozer configurator, apply, and every time you do this, it finishes the building faster. Okay, so as you can see, my normal maps are applied, so it means the RVMAT is detected correctly, and it's all good. It doesn't look like scheiße. Okay, no error. If you see the output, it's clean. Waiting process. Yeah, I'm just going to change one thing. I don't. Okay, no, it was good already. Okay, so I'm done. I'm going to retrieve the PBO, temp, add-ons, edges, and go to ArmA 3 and put it in my. Let's see. Okay, and now I can launch my game. Okay, so I'm done. Here is the edge itself. So I have my model here, and I added a bit of vegetation. As you can see, I have shadow glitches, which are not very important. I'm just going to triangulate the first LOD that should disappear. Otherwise, you have some geometry LOD parameters that allow the shadow to be casted from above the model, so it doesn't collide with the resolution texture LOD. As you can see, if I place down an edge, it's already fitted on the LandContact points, and so I have this famous 85 centimeters of additional depth, so I can easily lay them down on a bumpy ground with holes, etc. So it's pretty nice to put down. So it's a bit too light. I'm going to tweak the textures, tweak everything, and let's now have a try in game. So I'm going to lay one here without any bush. Okay, that's right. Okay, so you can see I can climb on it with my roadway, and it makes the dirt sound as planned. It's too steep to be crossed by crawling. See, they are very good covers by themselves, just dirt. So here my barrel is colliding with the I'm hitting actually the dirt. Okay, so it fit pretty nicely with vegetation. So for a first go, I'm pretty happy with it. As you can see here, I added two edges on one edge on both sides. So here I can cross it, so it makes a very good bocage setup. I can shoot through it, but the visibility is terrible. And so I have some spots here that I can cross, but it exposes me to enemy fire. So here the collision issue are mostly from the bushes, from the iron front edges that are next to the dirt dump. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the shorter and longer versions, but I hope this will help you to put some models in game, at least for static ones, so it's not destroyable, etc, etc. I could like try something to make it very World War II like. Let's try the German break into the edges. So I set it a bit lower here, and I should be able to cross it. There we go. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the video and that it will be helpful for you guys. So my total development time is about 1.5 hours for the three dirt dumps, and so it's very simple work here. So I hope it will be helpful to you guys. See you later.